Um, Good morning, all. Um, this is part of Marbukam film screening, and this is our 20th film screening. We have been showing films from April end. We have had 20 film shows, and we have had discussions with the filmmakers every Sunday. And so far, the response has been very positive. As I've told on many occasions, like when we have physical screenings, we usually get 40 to 50 people. And in online screenings, we get hundreds, 200, 300, 500, depending upon sometimes the story, the idea, the filmmaker, whatever. But we really get tremendous support, and that really encourages to do more and more screenings. And so thank you all for supporting us. Thank you. I thank the filmmakers also who have been trusting us and sharing their films with us. And we have Deepika with us, and we are showing her film, some stories around villages, and which I've been showing, I think, over the past 2 years on many occasions. At least I must have done 5 screenings. We also have Indranil Lagari, the cinematographer of the film, and they have worked together in Odisha quite more than, I think, 5-6 years. They've been making films together. So welcome to Indranil also. Welcome, Lipika. So we have,
Thank you.
Yes, and I know Indranil and Lipika very well. Past 8 years, we worked together in many one ethnographic project in Odisha when they made a research on puppet makers, and it was really a wonderful experience. They also came to Chennai for some other project with us, which didn't take place, but still we worked together. So I know them, and we all know documentary community is like a small community in India. We almost know each other personally. We also have Dr. Anjali, Dr. Jayshankar, and with us, and whose film also we shown last week, 2 weeks back. We are also fortunate to have Maheen with us. Maheen's film we showed 2 weeks back. So we are quite a colorful panel, I think. We also have Manoj, and we also have Ramdas, all the filmmakers, and everybody's coming. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll start. So let me just, as I told in the beginning, I always liked this film for many reasons. One of them is that, first of all, to start with, it's a very, very sensitive film, very sensibly made film. Of course, it's a very sensational topic, and it can always fall into a trivializing, subject. Typical television kind of a story. It is one can really make some hot film out of it, exposing people's ignorance and backwardness and everything. The film had all the possibilities to make a sensational BBC film. To expose the backwardness of Odisha, and the irrational character of Odisha people. The film did not fall into it. It was very very balanced. It was a very sensible and very sensitive film. Number one. Number two, I really liked I really liked the voiceover of the film. If filmmakers agree with me, it's one of those wonderful voiceovers I've ever heard recently in any documentary. Nice voice, nice. Of course, Odia, and wonderful her voice and the language, very nicely done voiceover. And so, and plus, of course there are very less films on Odisha comparing with other films, and except there are some films on people's movement against mining and other big projects. So it's a very good important to have this film also. So personally, I liked it, and I like it very much. That's why I've been showing the film regularly. And let me start with Deepika, and I would like to ask her to take us back to the days when she started making this particular film. How did she decide to make this film, and how did she decide to have this kind of filmmaking style in this film? and if she can explain. And
Thank you, Amutan. I think Amutan has screened this film like in several places, in so many screenings that he had, more than even I did anything for this film, you know, after making this film. So thanks a lot, Amutan, for this and also for this interaction. Okay, so I was just thinking yesterday that it's been 4 years that we have made this film. We finished the film in, I think, uh, December 2015, and maybe 5 years, the film now. Um, when we started making this film, we were not making a film. We were not making a film. And yesterday when I was thinking about what was the film, how was I in the film or in this situation, I just thought that I'm never a filmmaker to a film. You know, that pressure is not there at any point, fortunately, I guess. Uh, I like every film that I have made, I am somehow a character in the film, you know. And or I have a character in the film, I resonate with, you know, that character directly. So so that pressure of a director is never there for me at any point. So I am the character which is extremely vulnerable and which is ready to, you know, experience, talk to people, learn. And also the way I am ignorant about a lot of things, to even understand where and in which areas that I do not know many things about. So when I, you know, I was working in Bombay and then I shifted to Orissa thinking that I would make film from Orissa. But that was just a thought, you know, I'll make films in Orissa. Uh, Basically, I just wanted to get involved with many subjects or people to know better, and also, you know, using this medium of filmmaking in some or the other way. But I wasn't very sure. For particular for this film, uh, around 2000, I think around 2013, when the anti-witch hunting law got passed in Odisha, uh, one of the petitioner called us and she talked to us about this. And by then we were reading a lot of, you know, witch hunting cases in newspapers, and we were also discussing about it. We were disturbed and we were discussing, and mostly because, you know, in every news, uh, you know, the one thing was underlined that it happens basically in tribal belt, or tribal people do it, or, you know, the Dalits, they do it. And uh, I was not very okay about it, because I also come from I'm also an Adivasi, and I come from Ho community. I know my people, I know how they are, and suddenly when you read about something like this, you feel quite disturbed and you want to know what is happening. So that was also the beginning of it. And we didn't get any fund for this film. We were trying to get a fund from many organizations. We thought that they would, you know, be interested, but many organizations also had different kind of agenda. You know, they have a particular notion that if you want to make a film on this, you know, these are the criteria and you should be focused about it. And there are many pitching, you know, uh, platforms where you'll be mentored, and I didn't want to be mentored uh, to, you know, before I even go through this experience, you know. So before I go through any such personal exploration. So finally, we thought let's try for PSBT, and much before that, we had already started talking to people, meeting people, and we started to look at the cases from a different perspective, you know. So I personally somehow from the very beginning didn't want to consider these witch hunting cases as cases, you know, some sort of a criminal case or some sort of a case which is because of superstition, or I didn't want to start my journey in terms of these, you know, these things. So yeah, that's then PSPT agreed to give a small fund, and then uh, that's how we got some fund and we started to shoot. That's how the entire film, I think, the work started. But before we started shooting, we personally met a lot of people and went to many places just to, you know, just to understand, just to meet these people, and just to know where, like, you know, I stand as a person. How do I understand it? Do I understand it? Um, because I was staying in Bombay, then I was staying in Pune, I was staying in Bhubaneswar, all these small cities, big cities. So am I completely disconnected from, you know, people or the socio-political situation? Do I understand it at all? So that period, like maybe a year or so, we both got a lot of introspection and lot of questioning that what is it going to be, a film or is it going to be a write-up, is it going to be a documentation, what? So till we, you know, till we finished the film, there wasn't any clear idea of making a film. Even if we got, even though we got a fund from PSBT, there was no such clear idea that, you know, it wasn't scripted at all, and no clear idea that the narrative was going to be this, you know. So that it's a very long journey from the experience to the present narrative. Yeah.
Um, if I may add to that, yeah, I actually we we were not sure that it would be a film. Actually, we were going to various places, and it was like a documentation, and also, as Lipik also mentioning, it's a like a self-exploration in the sense that we wanted to really know that. I mean, what is going on? And before any fund came and all that, we had also visited a number of places, and we had certain kind of, I mean, if we call it rushes of footage, that also we had spoken to a number of people, and we had that kind of a, and as Mudhan rightly pointed out, that the film actually had a potential to go into various directions in terms of the way a lot of international channels like National Geographic and the BBC, they have, I mean, they've dealt with this same subject, and we started watching a lot of films around this subject, and we realized that I mean, there is a need for maybe personal narratives. We are missing that we're missing that personal narratives in the kind of sensational, I mean, the way it has been dealt with. So we were actually discussing all the time on how to, I mean, maybe tone down, maybe understand it differently. Even at all, we should attempt to make a film. I mean, even if we make a film, will it turn out to be, uh, I mean, audiovisually like many of these films which are very sensational. So it was it was also for an engagement like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Indranil about the cinematography of the film, because what I immediately remember about the film is the shots of the film. They were consistent wide shots. You know, you could see, and they were long shots, long, I mean, duration shots. You know, and the wide shots, and and show people in the, you know, also a lot of beat shots, and you could see that the whole it was like it was not it was not like a television program. It was like a film experience. So I just want to know, like, what kind of cinematography method you followed, the lensing, and what was in your mind? What did you plan about cinematography?
Actually, now in retrospect, maybe I was going through an experience myself through various various families, and it was an experience for myself. For me, I wanted also the person who's seeing it to understand the space, to understand the people intimately. So maybe to understand that space, that is why I thought of taking maybe long takes, and there are some long pans on the landscape, and just to see the people who are in that space. So that became very important for me, because I was experiencing the space. I was going into the forest, and very very beautiful places also in that sense. Geographically, it's a very beautiful places. So and I thought, like, we thought that maybe, like, we can posit those people together in those spaces. I mean, and try to understand the story like that. As we went along, we thought of various methods, and every experience was different. But that was the core idea, that even if there is a police person who's walking down the lanes of the village, like, it should not be, it's not like it should, there should be a subjective experience from the cameraman's point of view, as if the audience is there, or like he's in that space, for the audience to be also feeling what I am feeling. And that is why maybe uh, like the way I'm seeing things, and the way, and there's a shot where there is a jackfruit tree and there is a wind blowing, and I was standing there, and I thought I should take that shot, and we did a long pan to the landscape, and there was a voiceover later on added to that, from Neeru, the girl, she would have walked to the police station from that place. But that was a later addition. But I knew that we needed to capture the spaces so that we can also have that kind of a, like, we can put the story together. One thing was very sure for us, sure to us, that there is nothing much to shoot. Like, it was like we had decided that we are not recreating anything. We are not trying to trouble anybody. We have to be, we cannot, we don't want to be like an interview constantly, what is happening, this, that. We should be an observer. So I put myself as an observer. Also, as Lipika, she was interacting with the people mostly, and she was more connected in terms of discussions and all that. And I thought that as a cinematographer of the project, and also from the very beginning, when we'll be looking for funds, and have been involved from the very, I mean, the idea stage. So I thought I could just sit and observe. So that was my idea about cinematography. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah. Hi.
No, I think Amutan.
Network, yeah.
okay, sorry. Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So I let me just invite others to start asking, commenting on the film. Let me invite Dr. Jaishankar and Dr. Anjali to begin the interaction, the comments. Dr. Anjali. Dr. Anjali, can I invite you?
We just went
Can we start?
Yeah, yes. Sorry, our
Yes.
power just
very often came back. So we were thrown out for a bit, but we are both here now. So yeah, first thing I'd like to say is that, this is I love the film because it's a very quiet film and it's a very moving film. And though it's sort of based around personal narratives, I think it's a very political film. It is actually kind of trying to explore power relations, within communities, but in a very ethical and quiet way, without, trying to blame anybody, but trying to understand the circumstances of people's lives. Everybody, including perpetrators or victims, both, So you feel a sense of connectedness, of empathy, which I think must have been very difficult to achieve. So one question I'd like to ask Lipika is that you must have had to make certain choices of, what to include, what not to include. I mean, when you're documenting over such a long period of time, you must be having a lot of material, and sometimes there are choices you make that, though something might be very powerful or something might be very interesting, but you don't include it, maybe for ethical reasons, various, for what it might mean for the people who are involved. So maybe if you could talk a little, about those choices that you
Yeah,
made.
sure. The the name of the film itself says that, some stories around witches. So unfortunately, there are many other stories, around it, and I think we all don't want all these stories to even exist, but they exist. So when I was, I think I'm from a village. Like I spent a lot of time in a village, very remote village, when I was growing up. And it was like 50, 60 kilometers away from, even away from a smaller town called Baripada in Mayurbhanj district, my maternal village. So one evening, what happened was, we were getting some water from the tube well, the drinking water. We had a common community tube well, and the drinking water would come from there. So every evening, my grandmother or someone from my house would go and get some drinking water from that tube well. So I was also there, and I must be like 8 years old or something. And you won't believe, like, I even don't believe it right now. It feels like a dream. There was like, I saw a truck, like open truck, and they were full of people, huge truck full of people. Some people were beating drums, and I saw someone was really tired up and dusty completely. And I don't know whether that person was a male or female. I do not remember it, but that person was a witch. That thing was a witch. That's what I recall. And I asked people that, oh God, what was that? What was that? And some people told me that, it's good that witch is not in the village. That like people had taken that witch, and I could not sleep the entire night thinking that, okay, okay, witches exist. And I was thinking, my initial memories around witches are like this. And when I was in 12th standard, I went into some sort of a major depression, because maybe the study pressure, or I want to do something else. My parents wanted me to study something else. I wanted to study music, but they didn't have any idea where to go, where to study, what to do. So I was forced to take up science, and I wasn't very, very sure. And I went into some sort of a depression. I was 15, 16 years old, and I was in Jharsuguda at that point in time in Odisha. And I was, house wasn't like, we were in a rented house and the family was a Muslim family. And at that point, I came across a lot of things, what people would say. Even I was taken to a tantric, I was taken to a ojha, and but one thing remained with me. People say it's not that my parents wanted to take me to tantric or ojha or something like that. It was just, collective pressure on us that this young, girl of yours, what is happening? Maybe you are staying in a Muslim house, that's why all these things are happening. The, culprit is the old Muslim man. And don't be very, we were like a family. Like, I really loved them, they loved us, and we were like family. And I learned a lot from them, that everything that from their family. And we didn't even think about, obviously we didn't think like that, but that was this collective pressure. I don't know from where it came. And one thing remained with me, that was that, you're possessed by someone, and that's a woman. And it remained with me. And at that point also I questioned, really, why is it, why that whoever possessed me, that's a woman? What is it? These stories at that point, and I moved on. Then I went to Pune, I've studied film, and my life moved on. I reflect from there. And when I was, we were experiencing all these cases. Yeah, there were many other cases were very, very strong cases, and they were known to be strong cases, even internationally. As Anjali ma'am told me that, some cases might be really strong, and that can add to the film in a very different way, through the potential of the film. But, I chose those stories which were like personal to me, and I could connect to those stories personally. My participation is more as an individual. Those stories I have chosen, because otherwise, even in the narrative, it will be difficult for me to place myself. And I might go wrong at any point. I might go wrong politically, ethically wrong at any point. But if it is personal, then some things will be, taken care of, because experience is personal, and there is nothing that I am, what to say, pretending. Whatever I'm experiencing, that's there in the film, that's there in the narrative. So at least in that, in terms of my experience, I'll be true to it. And that's the thing that I want to talk about. Otherwise, there was a very, very strong case. I mean, I should not use this word strong, but it was devastating, in Sundargarh district of Orissa, where 3 women and a man were paraded naked in a village, like village to village, 3 villages. And the reason was, I think a silly reason. They went to a wedding, and they met with a the car accident, and miraculously they survived, but some few people died. And a team from a church, like young people team, like they do holy prayers, and they give holy water to people in that village. They somehow identified these 3 women as witches. They are the reason of that accident, and they were tortured like anything, and that became a national news. And we also got a chance to meet them. And Indranil and me went there through a third person, because you can't reach them directly. In some cases, you just can't reach them directly. You have to go through someone. And when you go through someone, the perspective is completely different. You cannot be those people who can, have a direct connection with those people. Like, you have to make that connection through someone else. That someone may be someone from the NGO, or a journalist, or someone who is helping them in some way or something like that, but having some sort of an agenda. Like NGO will be having different agenda. They will have a case, as an achievement. Okay, we have done that case, we have done this case, we have held this much of people. So we went through a third person, and that experience was very, very, very different and difficult. And from that experience, I think I understood which case I want to keep in the film, which cases I do not want to keep in the film, because we were waiting for those people, and I can't eat at that point. I was like very restless. Okay, how to face them? Am I going to ask something? Or because what, I was 29 years old and I was beginning to make films. I was and initially I think I started this discussion saying that I eventually become a character in my films. So the pressure of a filmmaker is not there, but when you become a character in your film, the pressure is something else, because you're trying to tell your story, you are trying to tell the stories of your own people. It happens like that, you're so connected, and their personal stories. So there what happened, I was a bit restless, but because we were there, a filmmaking crew was there. So in an NGO or some office, we were there, and they were arranging food for us. They were talking about other cases in different lights, like how they did that, did this. And suddenly these three women, the man was not there, three women came, and they were sitting in a different room, and we were invited there. And the moment we entered the room and we sat down, they started narrating their story. And that was very difficult for me to, experience, because I didn't expect them to, speak, just start. So Indranil was shooting it, trying to shoot it or record it, and he was unable to do it because we couldn't place ourselves at that point. They were sitting around us and they started everyone was narrating, this happened to us, this, after this, like a story. And I just thought that, we must be the 10th person or the 50th person people in the list who are asking this story, or who, like, we expect to, hear the story from them. And they are thinking that they are supposed to tell the story to us. So that, in that kind of a situation, I didn't want to, build as a person or a filmmaker. I didn't want to build that tension, I didn't want to force that on them, that the moment they see us, they should narrate, because they have been narrating this story for the police or for the women commissioners, for the NGOs, many people like that. And I don't want to be in that list for sure. I wanted to make my own, understanding around it. And I thought that it would take a journey, I have to take a long journey to be a part of that situation in a true sense. And I need to be sure whether I'm exploiting them in some way by, taking them back to again to that experience or something. I felt like that in that situation. And that's why I thought that, okay, whenever I'm feeling this kind of, a person who is, I'm not fitting into the situation, I'm very away from that, I'm not going to keep that. But, it has been very difficult because it remained with me for a very long time. And during the, I think when I was almost, we had shot many cases. After that, I got a chance to meet these three women, because Indranil and me were talking that, can we just keep that case the way we experienced it? You don't need to, You don't need to know more about it. The way you have experienced it, we can also keep the story like that. At least, we can put all the story in one platform and just see this, understand the story. But I was not sure. No, I wasn't sure because I wanted to know them personally before even I would put the story in the narrative. But when I started editing the film in some way, surprisingly, I met these women in a very, very different situation. I was called for a TV interview. I was asked to participate in a panel discussion around witch hunting. And I said, no, I'm not experienced enough to be a member in that panel discussion. So I'll be in the audience. I'll be in the audience and I'll be there. I said yes to the TV interview thing. And I thought it's a show, it's a talk show. And 4 people will be sitting there and they will be talking about witch huntings. Very important people will be called. There will be audience, that format. And I went there, I wore a nice dress and took the camera. I went there to experience. And the lift opened and I saw these 3 women sitting in the lobby. I said, okay, this is a case that they were talking, some very important people are coming, this will happen, that will happen, okay. Then even I met the man there, 4 people who were, there. So at that point, I think established a personal connection with them because there were no one sitting with them. They were left there, and there was a mediator from a newspaper who brought them to the TV channel thing. So
Just adding, they're also very far away from the TV
yeah, they were
station.
far away from.
I mean, 500 kilometers must be. I mean, from a very small.
They had traveled the entire night for the show, and the moment I went there, I was taken to a VIP lounge, to sit and to have coffee, munch or something to get ready for the interview. So I said, no, let me sit with them because I wanted to talk to them. So I was there, and the first time I was talking to them without having any mediator, no one. And they remembered me and they recognized me and they started talking. But by then the show started and we went there. Throughout that show, they slept. Throughout that show, that slept. And there was someone in the show who started saying that in between of the show, they started, these are the people who are witches. Look at them. Look at these innocent people who are witches and who were like branded as witches, and are they very innocent and everything. So I had this thing, like I could talk to the show host and the producer, and I said that we need to stop here, there's something wrong. So they stopped the show and I said, no, you can't say this. Like you have to cut it, or is it live or what is happening? You can't say that these are the people who are, look at these people who are so innocent and they were branded as witches. Maybe their intention was good, but then nothing was falling into the place. At least they're trying to talk about, I was thinking, at least they're trying to talk about this entire case and issues, but they're not invested in these things and they don't have any idea. And I didn't want to be a person like them at any point. So they slept off. These 3 women was like closing off, and later after they finished the show, they were like, ab kya, now we can talk. So we were sitting outside, and then we started talking, and they had tea, they had some food, and they were like still feeling sleepy. Then they asked me, what is this place? What is the name of this place? Like, which place? This town, this city. I said, this is Bhubaneswar. Then they said, oh, this is Bhubaneswar? I said, yes, this is Bhubaneswar. Oh, we thought this is Cuttack. I said, no, Cuttack is 35 kilometers away. This is Bhubaneswar. Oh. And that really changed I had this clarity from this experience that if I know it is Bhubaneswar, then only I'm going to, keep it in the film as Bhubaneswar. If I do not know, I do not want to say where I am, or so there also that situation also, forced me in a way that, so should I keep this case again? There was a lot of thinking going on. Now that I have this experience again, there must be something. That's why I again met these people, and they were, I could, this man could not, he had a hearing issue, and he could not listen to what I was, asking me or talking to him. So I had to go this close to talk to him, and I was almost like hugging him and talking to him. It was that kind of a situation, and he was talking to me also very closely, and the strong voice is still there, like within me. It was so clear and strong because it was so close to me. And when you go through these physical experiences, and as I said, that I become a character in the film, I think in a personal level, that these are the things that you want to say about yourself, and these are the things that you do not want to even share with anyone. That's how the stories are there in the film. Whichever stories I was for comfortable with, personally I wanted to say, I kept it that way. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Litika. And Dr. Jaishankar, you have a question, or should I move on to other person? Or Dr. Anjali, you have.
I just want to echo what Anjali just said, and I really thank you for making this film. It was a very moving experience, and the kind of sensitivity and empathy that you bring to the story, and the kind of narrative choices that you used, on a topic which could have been very sensational. That's something that I really appreciate. And, also the fact that there are very few films that are made set in, with indigenous peoples, the kind of themes that you handle in the film. And also Orissa. So, I mean, I just want to say, I really thank you for making this film, and I really was touched by that experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jaishankar.
For that reason only, like, as you mentioned that, about the indigenous people, I think I said in the beginning that the one thing that remained with me and I was not very comfortable with was, witch hunting cases are. When I was making this film, everybody would ask me that, okay, you are working on witch hunting, so which tribal community are you working with? So that question, like, really used to shake me. Like, why are you saying that? Because somehow witchcraft is associated with these indigenous people, and I think this witchcraft, self indigenous, this tribal community people do. And I also thought a lot about it. Why they, connect witch hunting or witchcraft with us, like with tribal communities. Then, I do not have a clear answer, but I need to also know a lot of things around it. But I have seen my grandmothers. I have seen I haven't personally experienced it, but I have seen my grandmothers, old people in the village who believed their spirits. Who believed. I mean, they would connect very differently to living and non-living objects, non-living being, and that has been misunderstood very, very, in a different way. They always believed in spirit, like spirit of a forest, spirit of a space, the energy of a forest, the energy of the trees, the way they would move, they would bring the clouds. There's the harmony of the entire nature, the presence of the river, pond, fishes inside it, and how animals, the cattle will be connected to, they would respond to seasons, and even the surrounding, everything. And they can, I was also connected to, I would not consider a tree as a tree. I would consider a tree as a living being in many ways. And we had twins mango trees in a tree in our backyard, and I used to play there, and I always thought they were like living and looking like after me. And I still think, and my brother who died just after the birth, and he is buried under a tree inside our compound, and we had the mangoes from the trees, and we connect to the life and trees, and everything is in harmony. And that connection has been, the concept of understanding the spirit and spirit of a space, spirit of the forest, or that has been misunderstood. And obviously the ignorance and many things around has uh, added on to the misconception. So because of that, I thought, no, when you say witch hunting, it's a very political thing. You, in many cases, like now in news media, they just use this word like anything, this witch hunting happening. And I think when they use this word, they feel some sort of a powerful, using this some word that they are using around a case. And I am personally not very comfortable with this word witch, because we can evolve as a society, but the word witch always refers to woman in a very derogatory way. Some people might romanticize it, the witch, I want to be the witch, I want to. But look at the situation, how these people are branded as witches, in which scenarios, from which, you know mm, so devastating, so exploitative, so, I mean, in a very devastating way. So I always think that we should evolve as a society and, understand words differently, or maybe remove those words from our collective understanding in some way. Um, so that's why also, we didn't name any community in the film. We didn't name any, unfortunately, 3 cases were from indigenous community, because I could meet them only, I also, the limitation of the project, that I could not take up some urban cases. I could not take up different cases, which are also can be called as witch hunting. So unfortunately, because of the limitation of the film, we could only manage to shoot these cases, understand these cases. And for a very specific reason, I didn't want to name them. Like, I have not labeled them that this is from this community, this is from that community, or there are some Odia people, there were some indigenous people, there's a mix of, there were many communities. So I didn't say, even if it was a Odia community, like it was non-tribal community, I didn't say that, look, they are not tribal, but this thing happening. No, that's why. So just to see that we can be also in that situation, and to draw parallels that, these situations are also happening in our neighborhoods. Like, devastating situations, like we know, like in terms of religion, in terms of whatnot, there are cases of witch hunting everywhere. So initially, that was also the idea when we were making this, that initially that was the idea. In retrospect, to talk a lot about a film, but initially that was the idea, that maybe people can draw parallels and think that, this is also happening in our neighborhood. So let's not think that, let's not wear the same lens when we look at indigenous people, and look at these things in terms of, from a different perspective. Just see them as like I was talking to someone maybe in an interview or something recently, and I visited again that situation where I met the woman from the electric pole story, the woman who was tied naked, and I thought she was dead from the newspaper, and I really thought she was dead. And at that point, my father was struggling with brain TB,
Tuberculosis. Yeah.
tuberculosis, and he was almost dying. Miraculously, he was saved. I mean, somehow the doctor diagnosed it, and somehow he was saved. So at that point, I heard that news, and I was not in a very emotional. I didn't have that emotional strength to even go there and visit, but somehow I got this opportunity to be there, and we figured out that the woman is alive. And I met her, and I remained silent throughout the entire. The only time I met her was in the film. I no. Uh, I think we met her.
And a number of times, yes, we've met a number of times. The first time we went and met her, we didn't, I mean, even expect to meet her. Maybe we thought that we will be meeting her children. She'll not be there or something. And we were also looking for her from different places. She was in an old age home, which we went to, and then she wasn't there. So we were also searching for her.
Yeah,
But
we were looking for her. Like we were told that she was in the old age home. Then we went there, and the person said that they cried so much. They cried so much. They stay here, and they were not talking to us. So we sent them to their village. They were not in the village. They were not in their relative house. Then at some point we figured out that they were in their daughter's house, and we went there
in Jharkhand.
in Jharkhand, and she talked to us. She opened up. She first time she came to know a lot about the case, how we see witch hunting, what is happening. She thought the case was on her.
Yeah,
And
that is one thing. Like the way she perceived the entire thing is that they were to blame, and because they have been branded witches, and the case is on her. Actually, they are the perpetrators of this thing, and they have been actually convicted. That is how they thought they stay at the old age home, like a punishment,
yeah,
not as
so we said, no, not that's not the case. You can go back to the old age home and stay till you want, because you can't go back to your village right now. You can aram se go back to the old age home, and my house is next to the old age home. That was in Baripada, my parents' house, and because I can also guide them, so I said I'll be there in Baripada. So you come back. I'll take you to the old age home, and that's how also we meet there again. And there was some sort of a trust that generated during that entire interaction. But when I first met her, she came and hugged me, and that that was also the thing where I had the clarity which case I want to keep in the film. So I simply thought that my granny could have been there, and she smelled like my grandmother. And if I want to narrate a story about my people, like the person that I know, how it would be. So that is how it. I narrated the electric pole Panomercy story, and and I'm not sure any of you can say that. How did you think? What do you think about using of the the real footage, which was for sure I kept it out of focus a bit. I used the real footage of that woman who was tied to the electric pole. Uh, how do you see it in the film? I really would like to know from you, whoever want to say about it, because I had this very difficult time to even decide on that, whether to use this or not, because it was a viral video.
it was a viral video. Like when we actually went to that village and also the villages nearby, we realized everybody has that video. It has been widely circulated on WhatsApp, and people had come from various, I mean, from far, far away, like in trucks, on bikes, and there've been like about 1,000, 2,000 people in that village.
No, there were like
Huh,
more.
more. I
But
mean,
one of
thousands of
the
people wanted
journalists,
to see a witch, and everybody had taken videos, and people have been circulating. So it was a
they thought
it was
he
a
was a
phenomenon. We wanted to also see it as a phenomenon, but actually we were not sure whether it's a is it a breach of trust also with the with someone with whom we are working. Might be a subject, but I mean, in the sense that we're working with them, with someone very closely, is it also a breach of trust that we will be putting that video on it will be widely circulated more? Like are we adding to that phenomenon? So that was the decision we were not being able to take ethically.
because I also edited the film when I had this, video in my hard drive, or there's a link to my timeline. There's a devastating video there. It's not a video. It's about the entire experience that woman went through, and she's still alive, and she wants to live, wants to go back to her village. That's such commendable thing, and when you have that material for your film, you suddenly become like a bit powerful, right? You have that power to even add it to your film, or you have that power. You have to, you are the decision maker. So I didn't like that power. Seriously, I didn't like it when I had that video, and those pictures were still like, because I know that I need to use something to narrate that entire situation, but that video was something that was a longer video. I didn't keep the entire thing. The one thing that was striking, the presence of the children. They were in the first row, and I thought that, I think that is the thing I want to point out. That's why I can keep the video. And so when the woman hugged me, I got some sort of a strength, and I said, I want to say this story. If I had that strength, I could not have used that. I thought she gave me some strength. Like, oh, you can use it. Like, I thought I was a bit responsible, so I can go for it. But I would really ask you, Amudhan or Anjali ma'am or whoever is there who wants to add on to this. Oh, how did you, like, was it okay to see that video? Was it normal, or you felt there wasn't any need to keep that?
Did we again sensationalize it? That is also one. I
I
mean,
think they have said it that it doesn't fall into that.
But that bit actually is.
So, Amudhan, do you want to say?
We can ask friends. Dr. Vijayan, do you want to comment? Mr. Vijayan, you want to comment?
Yeah, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thank you, Marupakam and Amadhan, for bringing before us another wonderful documentary. And Lipika and Indranil, it was a nerve-chilling experience watching the documentary. In fact, it evoked a real shock and wonderment. Of course, we are all were fed with such stories of witches and all that, right, from our childhood and all that. But then watching it in such a, this thing was again a devastating, so to say. And Deepika, coming specifically, because all through the documentary, your personal intention, your sincerity, and the way you projected the entire thing in a holistic manner. So nobody can attribute any ill motives to your showing that video clip, not at all. And especially after listening to your the personal experiences and the anecdotes which you shared with us. It's a and all over the documentary, your sincerity and your objectivity is just writ large all over the documentary. And it was really an amazing experience watching the documentary. And as you had mentioned, most of the villages are situated inside the sanctuary, I think. So there is
Not
a
most, no, one or two, yeah. Not most of the villages.
Okay.
Electric pole story where it is situated, it is just next to a very big town.
Okay, okay.
Looks like a village because of the huts and the house, but it is almost a town. It is almost a small town.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, no, because you are mentioning that at least inside the sanctuary there is no electricity and such a.
No, one story. One.
Okay,
I started
okay.
off with like 2-3 stories, and then
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Even one where we were shooting in the evening and there was no light, and they decided to, do an interview there, and we thought that maybe like we have a digital camera and we can like whatever we can get noise and all that, but there will be something, at least on black there will be a talk. So
Okay.
that was inside the sanctuary also, like, which was completely.
only
Okay.
the first initial one story was inside the sanctuary.
Okay.
Villages are small town.
Some of them on the periphery, some very close to towns, that
Okay.
kind of a thing. Yeah,
And
but not
electric pole,
all of the villages are not very backward.
yeah,
People
electric pole
are
story was in Raipur, right? Which is
Okay.
Okay.
This is
And most of them are women. Are there not males who are engaged in this? That is number one. Number two, normally we have been told that either this some people they engage this witchcraft people or for seeking vengeance or to seek revenge upon somebody and all that. Like they professionally hire or someone to settle their enmity. And about women prevalence of, are there any male persons who are engaged in this? If you could throw some light on that.
Yeah, actually, one of the cases where the chicken meal case that we were dealing with, where there was a family who has been ostracized. So the man of the family was actually called the witch, even the woman.
Okay.
But the man was also, so there are a lot of men also who maybe there is an enmity or they wants to, as you say, it's like a vengeance or something. So a man can be a branded a witch. I'm sure there isn't such a.
As we know in Orissa, women and men both, even children.
Oh yeah.
As there's one.
But I had an issue with the law, protective law that we have in Orissa. It is around women. Like even in the law, the definition of a witch is like women are called witches in the law, in the brief of that law.
Yeah, that was very strange.
It is written that women are witches. And the entire law is around women. That could have been like around everyone actually, the child or a man or anyone. Other people have started using it in a different way. This entire, political game, you can say, or anything to eliminate someone and political people also use it, like the leaders and everyone, they also use it. And I had one or two cases where leaders were involved and they branded someone as witch to eliminate someone.
Okay, to instigate people against them, like.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some silly reason, some random, revenge situation.
Yeah, and one more question about what are the steps being initiated to eradicate this evil, so to say? Are there any NGOs involved in this, or what about any efforts on the part of the governmental side? How to educate or that sort
You
of
know,
thing.
you all know, like whoever wants to speak about it, you know,
Mhm.
they are also getting eliminated. Like
Oh, I think there is.
Davolkar, who worked really, really hard at
Mhm. Mhm.
witch hunting, actually, this entire situation, he was eliminated. And in like, it's not, I'm not only pointing at the situations in Orissa. When we started making the film, the cases that I came across were from all the states.
From
Everywhere you
Karnataka,
get
from
many
Yeah, we know the
cases
case
of.
of Kalburgi and all that. So many people have been eliminated for
eliminated,
fighting
of course.
against superstitions. Like, no, it's all there.
Yeah,
Like, correct.
But
yeah,
people who are even talking about it are getting eliminated.
yeah,
Because
Mhm.
people
yeah,
want to reform, or
yeah.
like,
That's what.
I
That's what's so.
always think that, you know, when in retrospect, I think that uh, I was quite, I'm still young, but I was quite young when I was, you know, dealing with this situation and was trying to make around it. I was also not quite, you know, well informed when I was well informed, or I didn't have that even, you know, mental strength to deal with this situation. No one had helped me to, you know, understand the situation better, or being mentally strong. Because when you edit these stories, when you personally narrate it, it affects you very badly. You know, it makes really key. And but you know, I really feel very good about it. The fact that, you know, like the young people, like let's say like us or other young filmmaker, are even are giving that, you know, spending their time, using their time to be invested in these things. You know, like 2 years, 3 years down the line, and they are invested in this thing, and they're strengthening the community of young people who are making films around this, who are ready to get invested in these kind of social issues. Let's not call issues, but these kind of things which need to be understood properly. You know, you can't just read a book, you just be there. You need to be there talking to people and understand it, understand your surroundings. So it is through, I think, through this, like people write books, people make films, and uh, through this, I think this is also a step forward, you know, to, we had discussion, we had a lot of discussion around the film. People questioned it. People also thought it was a biased, you know, it is not true narrative, it is a biased narrative. I didn't talk about so many things. So but I always think, as you asked me, you know, kuch ho raha hai kya iske around. So these are the small steps that people are taking. People are making films, people are writing about it, people are experiencing it. But when we talk about NGO, I think personally, I have experienced that of, I have noticed a few NGOs, and I think that they always dilute a situation. You know, somehow because of their intervention, the situation get diluted. It doesn't, the voice doesn't go beyond their periphery. So it remains as a situation how they want to see it. And how do they understand it? Because they also have a different intention to help them in a different way. You know, the intention to help them is a very, the perspective is different, the intention is different. Like in entire COVID situation, the first thing was how to survive, how to give food, how to reach there and give food to people who are not getting food. That's the main thing. In also, uh, when we talk about the migrants and uh, other people, the main fact was they should survive. And in all this difficult situation, the main thing was that person who is branded as witch that person at least need to survive. The other people need to survive. Beyond that, you know, their mental situation, how they are going to come back to their normal lives, that becomes difficult. We don't go to that. Yeah, that's why the chapter Niru is very important.
And
And
she's also quite close to us, and we also made sure that she, after she comes out of her, the situation from a correction home, she goes through education and all that, and we've seen a lot of change in her.
yeah, like the in Niru character,
We know her very well.
Niru chapter, my character was a friend to her, and I never thought in any other way, and I'm still a friend to her.
In fact, even when there was this in the beginning of the film, we start with the sea sequence where she and Lipika and Niru, they are on the sea. Actually, they didn't know that
Yeah.
I'm shooting. We
Okay,
had gone
yeah.
there. So, in fact, like I have been the entire film, I have been like an observer, and just I was in the periphery of the situation, just playing with my camera, kind of a thing, to be
No,
invisible.
yeah, nothing was
Also.
scripted, and as I said that I didn't shoot it as a filmmaker, obviously, and Indranil want like to document something, having a very respectable distance from the character in the space, where, and in Niru, like in the first sequence where in which we were in the sea beach and we were just taking I we were just taking personal videos, like we were walking and we just clicked a photo and everything because he had the camera. If he didn't have the cameras, like we didn't have the footage actually. So I used my personal footage, if I may say so, for that situation because by then I had established a friendship with Niru, and the first thing I mean, when I thought, okay, the film is not an end to the entire journey at all in this situation. The character lived with us. They still live with us, and they still are in touch with us, and especially Niru. Uh, and the difficulties that she got, the entire incident. She did it, why we all know now, because we had this personal conversation, why she did it and how she was forced as a teenager. She can go through that entire traumatic situation. It is, it was, it was easy for me to understand that one person can go through that entire traumatic situation and one person can also kill someone. And I want to see how she wanted to get back to a normalcy in her life. And she was not mentally ready. She didn't know what to do. She just didn't know. And there was no one to guide her. There was there were some NGOs, but they will use the character like Niru as their poster girl. I have to all this situation and how to keep her away from being that poster girl, that struggle for this 4-5 years that I know her.
Yeah, your personal healing touch will be far more effective rather than some institutional or external support mechanism.
Okay.
Definitely.
So there has to be a, systemic change also. Like while throughout the film, we realized that, while we were researching on the film, we realized the most number of cases in India on witch hunting are in the tea plantations, because the tea plantations, labor camps, people are the most exploited. I think the worst exploited, and they would exploit their family and the people in the village in return as exploitation from the managers to sing and straight in the household to the woman who will be branded witch and all that. And there are many cases that we don't even read about nowadays. That there's a and that there's a huge discrimination, like a systemic discrimination against people through the electric pole. We realize that like though it is very close to the town, that village, and people have cars, and I mean, it's not a very economically backward place, and they have, like, people have access to education and everything. So, but the problem is that since many of them are from Adivasi communities, so where they do not have trust on the police nor on the medical institutions, because when they are going to the medical institution, I mean to a hospital in the town, they are like, people are discriminated. Some people, the malaria is the most I mean common illness there near the forests and everything, and people will be asked to sleep on the floor and all that, and they don't have trust on the doctors that they will take care of them. So a huge number of people who have been through years of exploitation and all that have completely lost, like, we have lost faith on our institutions. So then what is an alternative?
Yeah. No, the thing is, in the Electric Post story, the story is like, because the doctor declared that boy
Dead.
from the family dead. But the family people didn't believe them because they didn't have that trust. So, there was some situation where the body didn't swell up.
And it was still warm and all
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Maybe
So
he was in a coma
there is
or
a
something.
condition.
Yeah, so they
in
believe
some-
that he can be brought back to life.
Brought back to life.
And they didn't have the trust. Maybe the doctor saying something else. They don't want to take up the responsibility that, there might be some more money they need to pay or something. That's why the doctor is not taking. So they didn't have the trust. So they came back and started doing that entire puja or the last bit to, get their son back. So they get into these traps.
And
That's
I mean,
pretty-
the quacks are also very powerful. The quacks are also powerful, not only as individuals, but they connect to the political party. And right now, I think superstition is a big thing. We should be superstitious, kind of a thing. It's been propagated. So that is how one.
It's a very powerful. It's a very powerful thing. You can just throw it on a bigger community, and just fish them, and उस जाल में रख सकते हैं सबको.
But actually, the current government is running on superstition. So one is not surprised. Okay. So let me go to can I invite Maheen Mirza? Maheen Mirza, filmmaker.
Yes. Hi, Amudan. Hi,
Hello,
Deepika.
Maheen.
Hi, Sunil. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I was just typing this long thing because I had to go and about the film only, and I was going to send it on chat, but now I'll just discuss it. Actually, it's a very, very interesting film, and I'm going to go back again and watch it. I've seen it, and I'm going to go back again and watch it, because each time I watch it, it gives me something different to take back. And I think in the last viewing, I mean, there's so many things that I have taken from the film, but I think in the last viewing, what really came to me is that for these things, we all try to make sense of it with our heads. Like from putting it down to a mental health condition, or dismissing it as something that comes from not being educated. Like there is this whole spectrum of things that we try to make sense out of. And but for me, what was really interesting was that and probably it is because Deepika is also part of the community, that she brings it out so beautifully and so in such a unique manner, and in a completely different way than anybody else would have done it. Is that it's not a sympathetic view, and it's not even an empathetic view. What it's strongly experiential, and that's really what has made this film like very absorbing. It's a very personal experience when you watch it, and I think the understanding doesn't come from from what we think about it, but it comes from what we are feeling for it, and that has been really something that has touched me when I saw this film last. Now I'm going to see it again, and I think I'll come out with something else. But yes, thank you so much, Lipika and Indranil, for this film. Also, I just wanted to ask is because with the current political scenario, do you also feel that like many of a lot of the branding has to do with the kind of attitude or the kind of way in which the mainstream uh, looks at tribal communities largely, not just tribal communities, but I think it happens in a lot of communities. I mean, when you were speaking about your grandmother, and I was also thinking about my own, and I know that she was she was interested in and communicated with this so-called spiritual realm, which none of us seem to have really been introduced to. So it happens but does it really is it also a stereotype or a kind of an attitude that we have towards communities that we like I've noticed in a lot of places that people say in tribal communities it happens, whether it is in the hills, whether it is in the plains, whether it's in the forest. So somehow this gets associated with that, and do you think it's because of the stereotypes that people have, and how do you really contend with that? How do you this kind of an attitude, and when you try to place it in some in a film and try to kind of do you really think that it should be something that we should how do you say is it something that we should be at least aware of, like that kind of attitude that we have towards a certain group of people? How do you respond to something like that?
Yeah, to respond to it through a film. That's why the existence of the film, this one, that is also one of the reasons why we made this film in this manner. So as I was saying that, when I look back, I think I look at myself as a young person who didn't know much about it. I mean, you need to know a lot of things when you get into these kind of situation and you want to build a narrative around it. But I wasn't very, very aware. So I just I believed in my personal experience and intuition and what I exactly think about the person, how do I feel. So as I said while answering to the earlier question, that I look at myself as a person who is ready to get invested in these things, like ready to get invested in knowing her surrounding and be a part of a kind of a change or some sort of a support. The way I was friend to Neeru and she's still a friend to me. Recently she got married and I never thought that she would be in a mental situation where she could even think about getting married, and that's a huge long journey for us. And yeah, so to build a surrounding with people who can be compassionate and who would look at people's the other person's these kind of situation, difficult situation as trauma, um, with some compassion. And yeah, that is why uh, again I will just repeat it, that is why this film is made like this, in this manner, that we need to build a surrounding like this. No NGO, no political party, or no leaders can change the situation. It is how I am connected to the surrounding. It depends on how I, as a person, being an artist or a filmmaker or anyone wants to get invested in these thing, and I don't know what to say more. Indro, you
The
want to
film
add?
says it all, I think. I mean, I'm sorry, I was just wanted to flag this as something that it's very,
Yeah,
very special. And I
that
think the film
attitude
says
that you
it.
talked about, yeah, that attitude is there, and maybe we need to break it. Look at any unconventional woman in your society. Like, look at that woman's life. That person has been having a difficult life in any society. If there is a single woman who is successful or leading her life in an unconventional way, the situation that she faces can elaborate on whatever you asked. So that's why we have this wrong attitude towards community and these people who are staying in hills, thinking that uh, these kind of witch hunting or these kind of things only happen there and nowhere else.
Also, like for instance, when we were shooting the film, once we had gone to I mean, marketplace, and we were buying vegetables and all that, and one woman picked up a red cabbage, and she was discussing with one of her friends. So these are the vegetables that the Adivasi people have. So this is that vegetable, something like that. Like we are always kind of in a mainstream kind of a very, I mean, strangely, there's a lot of not being able to maybe come together. And I mean,
Yeah, there is a difficulties, in coming together, like as a
and also maybe, I mean, even as we have stopped using the word tribal and we're using the word indigenous and Adivasi, because there's a lot of baggage of backwardness with the word tribal as it was coined from before. There was a backward, there's a like lot of, I mean, bad notions added to that word. So I mean, and we probably, some communities we need to I mean, tag as backward or something to, for other communities to go forward maybe. I mean, in relative space. So that is something which is constantly in all the cases that we have gone through. Like, it's not that it is somebody's evil intention or something. If we eliminate one person from that, it is not going to matter. Actually, it is a very, very systematic problem, which in fact now, because many of the fringe groups have also become very popular, and there's a lot of puja and all that happening in villages. I mean, in a more vigor, which was the spirit of the entire thing has changed. So when we have a case like chicken meal, when they wanted to ostracize them, so they told them that you why do you have a chicken meal when the entire village is performing this kind of puja and all that, and they had the meal after they thought that the time has passed. But I mean, as these groups have become stronger and all that, there is more ease of probably eliminating people like that. I mean, people who are a threat or who can create some problems, like many of the cases. And I was very personally, I was very moved with when I met the little girl who they said that the teachers have said that the girl turns into a cat in the night and she's drinking blood of the other students. But it is also a very good excuse for the school to give, because the school, a lot of students were infected with a lot of blood diseases, a lot of I mean, because of the drinking water supply, a lot of problem in the nutrition, and very, very unhygienic conditions of hostel and kitchens. So they had to point out somebody. I mean, but I mean, there's a very talented girl, I mean, little girl, and I was quite moved at that entire situation, and that girl has also really recovered very well. That's another thing that very beautifully, like even the old woman in the electric pole case, when we met her the next time in the old age home, when we meet her with a new sari and all that, and we
We
realize that
think,
people have something to look
that they
forward
have
to.
recovered. We think at some point that they have recovered. Recovery needs a long time.
Of course. What I'm saying as a perception, like, yeah, but because also maybe she as a she when she was a kid, like she was standing on the front row of witch hunting scenes and seeing it from there. And the society has normalized such. That is a problem. I mean, even if organizations get into it, NGO and all that, and because of the act that the state has made, what has happened is many of the cases which was not coming to the forefront, those cases have come to the forefront because of the act. Now the newspapers are reporting it and all that. It's a brilliant thing, which is really very good, and people are discussing about it. And but still, that it is a normal affair. Like it's like a cat eye or anything, like whatever we think is a superstition or something, like, but it has been normalized so very beautifully. So as a system, it's very difficult to, I mean, I don't know, to discuss.
Thank you, Nabil. Thank you, Magin. Do you have any more comments, Magin? Can I move on to other person?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
okay, okay. So thank you. Can
There
I invite?
was a question on chat, I think.
Yeah, please. You can. Can you see? Can you see?
There's a question from Shubham.
Yes.
What is
One thing.
that can spoil a documentary?
According to you.
The answer can be given by Amuthan, sir.
Yeah, please.
No, I don't know answer. Okay. Anyway, so we can answer or we can.
Yeah.
To the other person.
Yeah, I mean, many things can spoil a documentary. Anything, I don't know. It's very difficult to see. We have to see a spoiled documentary, actually.
Okay. So can I invite Malavika, please? Malavika?
Malvika, are you audio? She's
Malavika, are you there? Okay.
she might not be here.
Okay. So I just so. Can I invite Hansa? Hansa, you're there? Hansa?
Answer.
Malavika is there. Hansa. Okay. Can I invite Anuj? Anuj?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Please go ahead. Your comments or questions.
Okay, I had a few musings, like what Indranil you were pointing out to, right? So I had one of my musings included the way they blame any and every big disease or whatever is going wrong with their community on the witch. Okay, but then am I audible, guys?
Yes, guys.
So they blame it on the witches. Okay, they identify some women as witches and they blame it on them. But as soon as they catch them, okay, as soon as they catch them and tie them, they become powerless like anything. So why doesn't the community understand that if she had the power to cause trouble to so many people on a large scale, why couldn't she save herself when you guys tried to tie her and all of that? So that is one thing where the community lacks, and I sense the lack of the state's power in these. Living in the cities, we think police has the power to indulge and interfere wherever and whenever they want to, but in your story. I realized that okay, the community still holds so much power over them that even the presence of policemen, all they can do is try to save that woman for that point of time from those people. That is all they can do. Nothing new they could, they couldn't really exercise their power and punish the people there, because then it was the community whose wrath they'll have to face. So these two musings I had about your film.
Yeah.
Hansa, are there? You're back?
Hansa wrote to me she is on an important call. She'll be back in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, nice. Shivani?
So the question, can you repeat, Indro? Like, can you just elaborate?
No, I mean, observations from the film. And actually, I'd like to add to that there was a sequence where we're traveling in a car, and the police said that we don't. People who had tied the woman up in the electric pole story, they told the police that we don't want to untie her because we feel that if we just take her, untie her, she will fly away. that understanding of power is.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
she
even
will
the
fly away.
police guy told them that, okay, don't untie her, just let her sit down.
Yeah.
Just let her. I mean, see the powerlessness of a policeman there. That all he can do is try to ease the pain of the woman. That is all he can do that moment. Nothing more than that.
Yeah. I think always.
Indro and Anuj, also we don't know whether she was just playing it out. The policeman is just because he's just portraying himself as powerless. Maybe he, being in that area for such a long time, he doesn't know how to intervene. He doesn't know there are people there. We don't know actually. So his helplessness, we can't say that, okay, he was right. He can be helpless.
No,
maybe after the law, things will be better. I mean, police will be empowered, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Can I invite Shivani? Shivani?
No, sorry, I really haven't watched the film. I was very interested and I got to know about it this morning only. So a few of us are sitting together and watching it this evening. And after listening to Deepika, I feel more inspired to understand the way she has described the personal engagement with the film. And I'm sorry I've not watched it yet for me to comment on it, but I would be in touch with her work and your collective.
Thank you, Shivani. The film will be on till tomorrow evening. You can watch.
Yeah, I realized that. So I think we have a screening about with 12 people today. So we'll be doing it together.
Lovely. Very nice. Thank you, Shivani. Thank you. Yeah. Kaushab. Okay, Manoj, do you have a question or comments? Manoj?
Hello.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to congratulate Deepika and Indranil. I don't know if the congratulations are the right word, but a deeply empathetic film and made with a lot of openness and trying to show a situation which is so complicated. I have to see it again to understand the nuances, and I just want to thank them for bringing this story to the rest of the world. Thank you very much, and thank you to the film club also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can
I invite Shubham?
Hello.
Yes, Shubham, please go ahead.
I've asked my question already in the chat box.
Oh, you can ask now. We can listen to you.
I just want to say that I love the film and I've commented on the YouTube. So that's it.
Okay.
Very strict man. Okay.
Actually, we were thinking of making a second chapter of the film. Like, now we were working on when the law is being passed. Now, what has happened after 5 years? Like how we are seeing and there was a lot of discussion about the national level law, which there will be one law for the entire country, maybe about Vichanti. and how
Nothing
it
has
is.
happened, Indro.
Yeah, it like how it like why other states are also having a problem with. I mean, there's some the cases are very intrinsic. I mean, of like of the different linguistically divided and communities and all that ethnicity. So all the cases have a lot of like particular nature. So whatever national level law is something that we are looking for and all that. If we were really thinking that we would start a project like that.
Around that.
Yes. Okay. I think we've covered everybody except our friend Hansa. If she's back, she can join. Kaushik?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I really enjoyed I don't know if enjoyed this right, but I thought the film was very good and it was really affecting. And I just want to say thank you for making this. That's all. I don't really have any questions or anything.
Thank you, Kaushik. Okay. Hansa, are you there? Are you back? Okay. I think she's still in the call. Okay, so I think we have covered everybody, and it was a really a masterclass from both of you. The detailed and it was more than an interaction, more than a Q&A, because you really both of you really gave a very real interesting perspective and inside view of the film, and really after I as some of us told. After listening to you, I think people will watch it again to see a new film, to watch a new film in the same film. I think very interesting experience for all of us. Thank you very much. And if people don't have any other comments, questions, then we can wind up the session. The film will be on till tomorrow evening, so you can. You can share with your friends. You can ask people to watch the film, and you can comment. Of course, if you want, you can comment. You can comment on the YouTube link so that the filmmakers get to know. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Lipika. Thank you, Indranil. And,
thank you, Amadun, for giving us this platform and also screening this film in so many places. Really, thank you for your support.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody, for joining, and also like
Dr. Anjali,
having a
Dr.
discussion
Shankar,
with us.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much with the discussion and
thank
of course the film, and I think it's a film that everyone should see.
Yes. So kindly share the news and the link to as many as people possible, so that more people can watch the film.
Yeah, definitely.
Please do share in your circles so that others also can watch. You want to say something, Lipika? You are going to say something.
No, I was just saying that Zoom discussions are very difficult for me. Like, I don't know, like I'm feeling.
No, you actually said so many beautiful things. It was really a wonderful talk, kind of a lecture kind of thing. It was very good. We all thoroughly enjoyed your speech. So thank you.
I thought I was missing a lot of things. I'm still recalling if.
Yeah, I think one a friend of us joined recently. Just Pushpa, do you have questions, comments? She just joined.
Yeah, so very sorry. Okay, for the delay. Honestly, I haven't yet seen the film fully, but this topic, being a former journalist and then a person who loves documentaries and has reviewed many, I think this sometimes I was thinking about this whole thing about we use this term witch hunt, right? And that itself, there's so much of racism, casteism, and sexism in that term itself. And that is something which ever since someone sent the note on the film, that has been spinning through my head, like it is the people, yes, who are declared dying and all that, Okay, but this word witch hunt itself is used in a term as if we just believe that whoever is bad, not even bad, a representative of extreme evil and extreme negativity is a witch, right? But actually, many of us, maybe as children, have also heard of various fairy tales. Occasionally, there are nice witches also. So while I'm not saying we should glorify this term, the last few years I've been thinking that some way of us dissenting is turning words on themselves, on their head, right? I don't know if that is possible. I don't know if I'm fantasizing, but this whole thing is just used to sometimes not just, declare someone as a witch, because sometimes it's also used for people who go against the order or the natural scheme of things. So I think there's a larger metaphor. So it's such an important, I'm sure it would have been a very tough film. If there's a recording, I think there is a recording, so I'll see. But I think this whole thing about witches has never exit the human, I don't know what even, I hate to call this evolution of so many centuries, just declaring somebody as a witch, okay? Or some community as, oh, the witches are here and stuff like that. And I know there was a lot of, in the last few years, ever since this lynching became, a common thing. I know I've heard of Dalit and Adivasi women who've been lynched. And there have been articles written about them. And it was very disturbing and very, outrageous. And unfortunately, some of us sit here and then are unable to do anything beyond just highlight those things. And I am a member of the gender sexual minority community. I work very closely with trans people, working class trans people. Okay. And believe me, some of them are also stereotyped and castigated for having those kind of powers, because Ijda people, they believe in various practices traditionally. And one of them is, oh, are you necrophiles? Are you, so in what way is it less that they're comparing somebody to a witch, right? I don't know if I've gone slightly off topic, but this thing has been in my head for the last 1 week almost, especially. Thanks for, choosing this film. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I add to that, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Sure.
So you pondering over the word witch, okay, and talking about turning it on its head, we can see what happened was any woman who used to have more power than the patriarchal society assigned to them,
right.
they were started to be considered witches, right? And then a witch
Right.
followed and all those things. So in effect, if we I mean, I'm just fantasizing here, but then if we can have a social media campaign, be a witch, I'm just thinking out loud, by women of power, okay, who, like, the word itself symbolizes power from now on, rather than being negative or being menacing towards others. If it symbolizes power, we can somehow turn the whole narrative around it on its head.
Yeah.
I think initially I have spoken a little bit about it, that personally, I think when we started the discussion, I said it that personally I'm not very comfortable with this word witch. And that's why also the witch hunt, because again, it refers to women in a very derogatory way, and the situation is really irritating when it comes to witch hunt. Now, as Anu said, that you can change the narrative. Changing the narrative it's good if you can change the narrative, and as I said that we can evolve as a society. by referring to this word in a different way. But when we change narrative, we can change it in one layer of it. In ground level, things are really, really different and difficult for people who are seriously going through these, devastating experiences. For them, it doesn't really help much.
Correct.
A long way, it can help, like us who are in front of the computers and everything. In our head, the narrative will be changed in many ways.
Correct.
We can be a witch in Halloween, party, or we can be a witch in our social media profile picture and say that it is powerful. That can also bring in a lot of change in a nation, which is connected to these kind of narratives, change in narratives. People are. A generation is we as we know that is also connected to these kind of changes in narratives. So for them, it is fine. They will change this narrative in their head and they might talk about in a different way and everything. But as I said that in Neeru chapter, the person was becoming a poster girl for many things, but how her life is affected. Killing a witch, it's a different case altogether.
Yeah.
Her
But
life,
she is not the victim, I mean. But she is also the victim of the violence as a very, very young girl.
yeah.
Correct.
So how the Pano aunties, who was tied to the electric pole, her life is affected. Changing the narrative in one such, one layer of the society is not enough, but we can try it. We can try it. But we say it which politically and personally, the word doesn't mean much in this situation. The experience that they go through, that matters for people. I can tell you my experience. Small little thing can make a very dark corner inside yourself in terms of caste, religion, and sexuality, gender, everything. Like, I know a person whenever I meet that person for many, many years now, every time I meet that person, the person says that you have become more darker. What have you become? You have become darker. Your skin has become dark. Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, that person has been telling me this for many, many years. And, when this is a very simple thing. I don't even respond to it. But, this small thing is connected to so many things. It reflects so many things about the society. And yeah, it is true that it affects me in some way. It affects me in many ways, actually. I go back to those difficult times during my childhood when I was, ridiculed because for, weird reasons, for my skin, for my, identity as an Adivasi, the way we looked, the way we talked, the way we lived our lives. So small things can be a trigger of a lot of things, of the entire identity, social political identity even. So, when we talk about changing a narrative, we also can think about in how many layers it needs to be changed, even practically. You can be a witch, but you might not understand the reality of a person who has been branded as a witch. I think with our generation lack this. And even I feel that I am quite disconnected from even, even from that understanding of it. I'm quite away from it because I'm busy, I think, in making my own narrative. And to understand it, I think I need to personally unlearn and deconstruct the ideas that I'm having by only reading, only, you know, listening, or only looking at my computer or stuff like that. So I think we need to be more engaged with our surrounding to know exactly what we need to do to change the narrative. Yeah.
Just another story from the film. Actually, we couldn't keep a character, and she stayed in that inside that reserve forest, and there was another person who was facilitating that kind of interaction with the woman. It was an old woman who was staying inside the forest, and she like apparently that she knows a lot of witch mantras, and she actually teaches a lot of women about witchery, and she has a lot of power and all that, and for a long time we've been also talking to him, and he was taking, and finally we went one day to meet her to a very, very distant village. And if you have seen the film, in the like there's a night sequence where there is a forest and we can see the stars, and this person is giving an interview absolutely in the dark, and somewhere there actually in that environment we had gone to meet a woman. And then we realized that she's an old woman, and she has, her children have left her, and she has nothing, no one to take care of her, and she has nothing. So when she met her, so she came, and I think there was through Indira Awas Yojana or something, there was a very small house that being built for her, and she stood in the front of the house, and she took out her Aadhaar card in front of her, and she stood. And I took a photograph of her with the Aadhaar card. So, which with the Aadhaar card actually in the forest. So that, I mean, there's so many strange narratives, no? Like the entire village.
You know, these situations that I said earlier, that those 3 women we met, the case that I didn't keep in the film, they started narrating the situation in front of us, and I was taken aback. I was very, very unsettled. And the same way, this old woman who seriously, I feel very bad to say this, but she had nothing. She had just a brick wall or something, and she lived somewhere else, and she had a dream of a house, you know, at the age of 60 or 70 or something. She had a dream of a house, and she took us to that place where she stood in front of us holding, suddenly she stood in front of us holding the Aadhaar. So in a situation where she was known as a witch, she used it as her self-defense, you know.
Yeah.
Because people thought that she knew witchcraft, people wouldn't dare, you know, doing anything to her.
She will at least get a space in the village to stay. I mean, she'll get a food and
that's such
to survive.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. So thank you, Lipika. Thank you, Pushpa, for joining late, and of course still again raising a wonderful point.
Yeah.
So thank you all. So see you next week. So and we'll be showing a film every week. Next week we are showing, of course, every weekend we are showing a film. So see you next week. Thank you all. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Manoj, for joining. Thank you, Pushpa ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Pushpa ma'am, thank you, ma'am.
Hey, don't call me that.
Pushpa ma'am, thank you.
Nice meeting, Lipika. By the way, I'm gender fluid, so ma'am is inapplicable to me.
Okay.
Okay.
If anyone is, if anyone is showing the film and wants an interaction, I'm there. You can just, you know, because someone is showing the film to 20 people today, and if they want to talk to me later, they can.
Sure. I will put you in touch. If they contact me, I'll definitely put you.
So we should contact you through him only, is it? He's your gatekeeper. No, I was just kidding. Sorry.
I'm offering, ma'am.
Why are you mamming me? You're going to pay for this. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Bye. See you.
Thank you.
Have a nice Sunday.
All the
Have a
best.
safe Sunday. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.